In last-century Mexico, amidst the chaos and turmoil of the revolution, where the echo of gunshots resounded through the streets and the shadows of uncertainty loomed over the people, a legend began to take shape. A legend that still shakes us today. It was the time when men went off to war and women were left alone, clinging to the hope that their husbands would return. In a small town, there lived a young woman named Maria. Her beauty was so dazzling that everyone in the neighborhood admired her, but her heart belonged to a man, a brave horseman under the command of General Zapata. One day, a ghostly messenger arrived at Maria's home, his face pale and his breath ragged. The woman's heart stopped when she heard the devastating news. Her husband had fallen into an ambush with General Emiliano Zapata. The horror of war had reached her door, robbing her of hope. Knowing that she was a widow, terror began to invade Maria's mind. The shadows that were once familiar turned into threats. She feared that someone would come looking for her, that her life and that of her children were in danger from the betrayal and hatred that the war sowed around them. That night, the wind howled like a hungry wolf, and every sound made her jump, fearing the worst. Paranoia took hold of Maria. She believed that enemies would come to snatch her children away. The thought of losing them consumed her. Her desperation drove her to the river. With tears in her eyes and a broken heart, she made the painful decision to drown them, convinced that it was the only way to protect them from the suffering that the world would bring them. In a moment of desperation, she sealed her fate and that of her children. Shortly after, a soldier appeared with a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Maria," he shouted, "your husband is not dead. He managed to escape the ambush. He is only wounded, but he is alive." The soldier's words were like a shot straight to the heart. Maria felt the world crumble around her. The horror of what she had just done intensified as she heard that truth. Guilt and pain washed through her as her heart filled with regret and misery. Devastated by the revelation, Maria was consumed by remorse. She could not bear the burden of her pain and the guilt of her actions. With her soul shattered, she made her way to a tree by the river, the very place that had witnessed her tragedy. With tears in her eyes, she hanged herself, seeking to make amends for the crime she had just committed. Her soul, caught between guilt and pain, was condemned to wander eternally, with an echo of despair. Since then, Maria's spirit, known as La Llorona, wanders the banks of the river, crying out for her children. Her cry is an echo of pain that can be heard on full moon nights. Her wail has become a symbol of lost love and tragedy, resonating in the memories of all who have heard it, and terrifying those who dare to look upon it.